Tuesday, May 19th, 12:51 p.m. What's up, everybody? Checking in with our trade, a little bit trade management technicals, if you want to call it that, and then some talking points. So we are on Datadog, which is our primary focus. I guess that's our first point, pointing out, as you know, Datadog is our new SanDisk, and SanDisk was our new American Eagle. The way I do it is, again, like I said, I look for high convictions, and so whenever I have any conviction, that's kind of like my focus, certainly mentally. So we checked over at American Eagle. We did have Berkshire Hathaway take a position in Macy's, which is the sector of what I would consider American Eagle, just consumer retail, and an overall relatively mature environment. And so, might as well throw up American Eagle while we're talking about it. No real conviction, but just saying and emphasizing on a personal level, you're looking for some sort of conviction. And should you jump around the market? Should you not jump around the market? I don't really do stuff like that. It just, when you have conviction, that's when it makes sense to trade. Whatever sectors, trades, environments, supply chains, companies that you have conviction on, that's really kind of like up to your own research, up to your own, hey, I'm going to watch the financial markets. Hey, I'm going to go look at this company. Hey, I'm going to go look for a trade prospectus. And so no real thoughts over here on American Eagle at these levels. Frankly, if anything, closer to bullish than to bearish. I'd probably say 70-30, but not a conviction in which I'm going to take a position. But popped back up. Berkshire took a position in Macy's, which I see as the exact same sector as American Eagle. Macy's might have a little skew older in population. American Eagle might skew younger, but it's still discretionary consumer spending for clothes. So it's like that's the same type of environment for spending. Again, I don't think the kids have that much money. If the parents want to spend money, might be at Macy's, might be at American Eagle. No real differentiation within a sector, at least not consumer retail. And so, again, overall companies that are cyclical, in my opinion, we're May 19th. So I would say like at the end of summer, it's kind of like a better look for like if you wanted to take one of these long, but no conviction over here. It just kind of came up. So bringing our attention back to Datadog. Definitely from a sentiment-wise, just what people are saying on TV, the overall feel. It feels, Scott Wapner used the term rollover today. For our trade specifically, Datadog, again, did have some appreciation in the immediate morning open trade. It has since faded a little bit, still kind of channeling. I would say the channel today, 209 and 212, where our channel yesterday, 207 to 210, and so we kind of have this, just the trading dynamic of Datadog in the recent time we've been trading it or have held the position. It kind of like opens a good amount of time, it opens down and then immediately kind of bounces back up. It doesn't, not a big appreciation, certainly not momentum. I wouldn't even consider it really trading. I would just attribute it to the morning volume, the morning activity, some sort of appreciation, and then we've been kind of channeling towards that upper level, but in a place where you kind of look for like if this is trending up to be momentum. This is certainly not momentous trading upwards, but it doesn't really matter. And if you just have a big position size and that goes too high, you get to a total level dollar where you don't like. So we're kind of, again, right around there, where it's like, I do still have conviction here. And that's why you can see my two hard stop losses. I think one's at like 227 and the other one's at like 230. And mostly for the morning blowout, because this feels like it wants to roll over more substantially. It has not. The SanDisk and Micron were definitely on the news cycle today for the finance world. And so over here, again, no real, certainly not capitulation, certainly not a blow-off top. Want to call it a retracement. I wouldn't call it a pullback. We're kind of at that level where if we were to dump in the next day or two to 1,200 to 1,000, I would call that a pullback. Whereas this is kind of like depreciation would be like the most general word I would use. It's kind of like gradual. It's definitely not aggressive. It's certainly healthy within the environment of appreciating 3,000%. But from the price action to momentum sentiment relationship, just kind of, again, no real conviction. And so to me, I see this as the train or the bellwether, the big focus of the memory space or the focus of the momentum trade, momentum within AI. Datadog, Joe T was up there again talking about some sort of sector differentiation, which I don't do too much of, but I'd say the bigger the company, the more well-known, the more differentiation you would see. Whereas when we're trading ATAI, DFTX, what we've called the alternative pharmaceutical disruptor, I see that whole sector trading the same. Whereas in big mega cap tech, I think you have more differentiation in this company's going to do better than this company. Whereas you have the emerging markets where just like, I think this is going to stick. I think some big policy change is going to happen, so on and so forth. And so the differentiation, talking about the memory, specifically Micron, specifically SanDisk, and specifically Seagate. So one of the talking points that I did not mention yesterday, had written down, is the CEO. He came out and said, I didn't look at the actual specific verbiage, but something to the effect of, we can build more, but we're not even like that convinced as, again, the operators of this space, that the demand is either going to continue for long enough, or effectively the build-out time would be more detrimental than the current demand. And so we get some direct indication from the sector itself. Not a huge, pull up Seagate specifically, but not a huge reaction, I don't think. Let me pull out the daily. And so some, I would say more of a, again, Seagate had held more appreciation relatively, whereas in like SanDisk, again, you can see it had already kind of like broken down a little bit, maybe like 3 or 4 days before. And so you could call this some reaction. I mean, certainly it's a direct statement by a CEO of a major company of the momentum trade in memory. So do you want to call this a cause and effect here? Kind of, but it's not, we're not down at 500 or 600. It's not a price action move that say, hey, this is a huge, again, where I would say the word retracement, definitely not capitulation or anything close. Again, just trying to talk through examples of when I think these words are appropriate. And so, again, back to our trade, our position that we have. Again, seeing as this is catching some tailwind as we reference every video, but still kind of channeling and trading. So I want to see this roll over. Again, I'm right at the thing where I have hard stop losses. The psychology, again, just pointing it out explicitly, right? Because when it's inching up like this, if you have a real momentum move, if this were to go from 200 to 400, 200 to 300, which again, why couldn't a company in this type of environment or any environment, the whole stock market is this forward-looking thing, go from, this is like currently at, yesterday, again, we can just look, 75 billion. And so like, why not 150 billion? Or why not 150 billion valuation for a month? Or why not 225 billion valuation for 3.5 months? Or why not 60 billion valuation for a week? And so all of this reaction to price to earnings, it just gives me zero conviction the entire time. And so you look at the numbers, you hear about it, it's certainly talked about. Is it an executable, actionable event, or like what part of that do you react to? I don't think so. But again, just pointing out whatever comes to mind. And so specifically to Datadog, we're kind of inching up. The overall, again, market cap is just, but within this momentum sector, this momentum spotlight, it's like, I want to have hard stop losses for any sort of big, massive appreciation. In comparison, when we're documenting our American Eagle trade, we have some sort of psychological limit, kind of. Like, there's no reason American Eagle couldn't have gone to $40 a share or $100 a share or to $200 a share. Again, as a reaction to what people have called memes or just momentum in general, frankly. Like, I don't think calling something a meme stock is a differentiation from a momentum stock in any way. But point being is, American Eagle, again, I was slightly more comfortable with an open position, just because it's not a super momentum sector. But any stock in these highly liquid environments, in these forward-looking environments, can go crazy. And so just giving you some comparison, whereas it's like, this is not trading aggressively or strong in any way, just kind of like inching, plopping up. And here's our daily chart. You see all of these green candles are closing up, but it's just kind of like this morning appreciation and then just kind of like leveling off. And so meaning, when I'm managing this and having these hard stop losses, it's kind of arbitrary, but it's bounded by how much dollars I want to lose and then what I think the overall movement of the stock seems reasonable. Where it's like this movement up to 215. Yesterday we had our stop at 217. I don't want to get knocked out in the morning trade pretty much at all, barring some extreme movement, from 200 to 250 or 275 or like it's like doing something different. And so I was moved it up to like 227, I think, and 230 is what I have it at currently, because I certainly didn't want to get bumped out in the morning trade. You get bumped out in the morning, that fades, you feel stupid as shit, but then you always have to, again, I don't have income, I don't have any sort of access to society, which is not a normal trading consideration, but I am extremely tight on, hey, if this is going over this amount of dollars, and it's not a hard set dollar figure, it's just the overall feel of total dollars and expected move, where it's like, meaning I would hold positions that I've cut shorter, longer, just for like meaning longer duration, not the direction, if I could. I mean, that's the whole thing is like, okay, SanDisk is going, let's just use SanDisk, right? We were out at $900, we lost $900 total, all things considered. But like this 1300, this 1600 level, we were talking, having hedging and considerations up into like the 2200 level. And so this whole movement, again, me closing SanDisk, me opening Datadog is, again, all of this, again, fraud. It's, I don't have constitutional rights. I have to try to make some money, or I don't have to. I'm trying to make content. If you're watching my videos, you know what's going on. But it's like, for the overall, if I, again, had constitutional rights, it's just this overall movement of this momentum of memory, specifically, currently. And, 1930s, it was the tulips, or there was the gold rush, or before that, or whatever. Momentum is momentum and emerges from human behavior. In the context of finance, not going to bust out doing the fundamental physics right yet, but I am so behind on those talking points. Holy cow, they just pile up so fast. But overall meaning is the exits and entries you've seen me do is, again, extremely an exception. It is an outlier because I don't have constitutional rights. I would still have held these positions, executed some sort of hedge, a medium short-term option, and then built the short position up on the actual shares. That's how I would have truly managed it if, again, I was able to participate in this great country called America where you're supposed to have freedom and shit, and it's really not. It's just a total shithole. But, again, just pointing that out. And then so back to Datadog. And so for our levels, this 208 for whatever is felt, it was a pre-market high. We kind of floated around there. But then, so that's on the intraday. Like when this market opens up, we have more strength. This stock specific, and then just in general, not wanting to get knocked off into here, but always having not always, but having a hard stop loss today on, any sort of extreme appreciation. And then on the daily, it's like, again, even with 1, 2, 3, we'll just count the green ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, or 7. Well, that's today. Okay, so 6 days of closing up, but it's not really like momentum. It's not really appreciating. I just see this as like tail volume. It's just like waiting for a floor to fall out effectively. And so when this turns, which I think it will, I'm in a position still open. Just calling levels right now at 104. Again, anything below really like 212. Let's go back to the intraday. Anything below 212, I want to say is like, again, intraday kind of like topped out. But I'm not calling a top on this stock specifically, just saying, again, the price action to momentum. If this were to turn and close anything below 209, this I would be more apt to say this might be turning around. But trying to document when this, in the recent history of this trading log, when this one specifically turns. I feel like this is going to turn soon. Maybe get some new stimulus. Maybe we bring on a new customer. But the appreciation, even when you look at this daily chart, it's like, oh, it's kind of inching up or something. But if you're watching the actual intraday action, it feels extremely weak. But we still just kind of pop up, and then it doesn't want to break. And this was very similar to me in the feel of, again, American Eagle. When we take a position, and then the first week or two or month, we're kind of, underwater. But it's really just trying to document the changing of momentum. Obviously, we want to make money. Obviously, we think it's going to change. That's why we took a short position. But that's our consideration for right now at 105. Again, 130 is kind of when I consider like the lunch. If there is volume, when that kind of dies down, I'm not really seeing any clear action in Datadog. But we did talk about it. That was one of the talking points, just specifically Datadog and Planeteer came up. I just caught the tail end. Joe T again. I don't know. He just seems to be on the TV a lot when I turn it on. But talking about how there's some winners and some losers in software, like every sector. But he was saying he feels like the momentum It's kind of tipped, which again, overall market wide, I definitely feel it's just like we're certainly not on a. We've backed off some highs, and it's just like, okay, what now? And so Joe T is articulating maybe some more rollover, specifically in the momentum factor, which I agree with. I definitely feeling that as well. Again, I didn't watch too much of the CNBC. That was just. It's not like I think Joe T is really smart. He's a criminal like everybody else. Just responding to the talking points that I caught. But again, just the overall timing, because when he's like saying, some are winners and some are losers. Joe, are you talking about like buying Datadog 2-3 weeks ago and this being a winner, or being a winner from here? Again, the synchronizing of what they're talking about. Hey, I want to go long this. Hey, I think this is going to go down, to the actual like win exactly. Is just, to me, it's just so asynchronous. It needs a lot of work. Could just be the broadcasting presentation, but again, the market dynamics are the market dynamics. You don't get to pick how that works. And so it's not like, all right, here when Carl Cantoni and David Faber come on, we're gonna have the Squawk Box. I think they have a third hour now. Look at that. A bunch of criminals get more jobs, and Brad still can't buy groceries. That is not a joke. But some conversation on software specifically as opposed to memory. Again, software to me just in general does not provide data itself is certainly valuable. I want to say that. But it's just like, what data? When? And it's just like, then you get a bunch of colors and a bunch of different graphics and charts, and it's just like, okay, well, what do I do? It's like, well, it showed you what happened in the past. Yep. But what do I do next? And so I don't think, again, that's why I re-entered over here and not the memory, when I effectively see it as effectively the same trade. Not super the same trade, but again, what economic stimulus, again, the cause and effect of when they say this one's moving this for this reason and this one's not moving, I'm not convinced. That's where we're at here. And so kind of our last little talking point is Brian Belsky. He launches his, which is some sort of ETF or some fund he has, but the prospectus is one stock per sector to beat the S&P 500. So he's excited to go live. Again, more privileged Americans being privileged Americans, getting to do stuff, and it's like, how many ETFs are out there? A lot. What makes one different than the other? Well, Johnny's got his ideas versus Brian Belsky's ideas. It's like, great, awesome. And so, again, I don't really, again, Brian Belsky, I feel like this guy's around CNBC a lot, but I'm not sure what his role is. I just think he's just a contributor. But again, I don't think anybody has like some sort of secret prospectus, and there's no like anything. I mean, not good, not bad, just another basket of stocks that maybe you want to buy, maybe you don't. But I'm emphasizing, hey, I wake up every day, I talk about the same markets you guys do. You guys are all like double my age. I've already lost my health, my property, my life. I can't have a career and a family. But hey, Brian Belsky gets to launch an ETF because if this stock tanks over here, just goes buys this one, will go raise some more money. We're over here in the la land where actions don't have consequences and the law doesn't matter. But glad Brian Belsky gets to launch his ETF. So that's what I have for this morning, and we will check in later. Or I guess afternoon, it's not the morning. Tuesday, May 19th, 4:06 p.m. What's up, everybody? Checking in just after the close of the market. As you can see, we did call it quits, at least for now, on Datadog. We got data dicked. And so, just talking through a little bit of the management thoughts of, again, exiting a trade that's losing, what kind of going through my head, what am I thinking? So again, the number one thing is just don't have a position you can't manage, meaning tolerate, you don't risk what you can't lose. But as we stated in the morning, you can see that we finished up right when we're here channeling, drifting up, not real trading, in my opinion, at least not strong. And then had a hard stop loss at like 225 throughout the day just for extreme blowout. But then we did kind of drift upwards to the end of the day. And then right around, I was doing some yard work, so I wasn't watching the markets too much. Don't really have any talking points written down. But from time frame, I saw this like bouncing around from 210 to 212, and then once it popped out of the 212 range, it felt like a little bit of actual buying pressure accompanied by appreciation. So finger was on the trigger, so to speak, just, am I going to put in a close order to some effect, a market order, or a limit order? So closed with limit orders, I think 3 closes. Again, just kind of see how it dealt with the 215 level, another psychological whole number level, our stop loss area from a couple days ago. Certainly feels like a continuation, at least into like some sort of blowout or strength into tomorrow. And again, the sentiment of any one day is the predominant thing. So we could wake up tomorrow, this be at either the same price or lower, and it would surprise me zero. We'd be feeling pretty silly. But again, for the closing, it's an overall dollar figure, overall expected move, and again, I do not have constitutional rights. So without any other talking points, I want to continue to emphasize, I wake up every day, I try to work in the context of literally not having constitutional rights, knowing everybody's aware of that, but I still have to try to do something. And so when I sit on here and sing Scott Wapner's up there talking about, you're in a room with a lot of people talking about, I think, a sports owner specifically, but you're in a room with a lot of people with a lot of big egos. Honestly, how the fuck can you arrogant idiots have any egos whatsoever? I am going to monopolize everything. There is literally nothing you can do about it. You can do anything you want to me, but it's a physical inevitability. The ball has been rolling. I own logical structure. So like all copyrights, all education, lawsuits for, complete axiomatic derivation. I want to know where those men and women are that have egos, that are arrogant, that genuinely, how the fuck compete? Let's compete. Stop hiding behind your screen like a huge fucking bitch. Let Brad compete. Oh, that's right. You fucking losers can't. And so to all my old friends, all of their old parents, to James Ryan, to Richard Reese, to Michael Mayhew, to anybody that I've referenced in any of my lecture series, full criminal charges, full lawsuits, and I want to be paid every penny of damages that has been caused to me. And so to all of these people that have big egos and big whatever, again, you guys are criminals. You are protected by a security and government apparatus that is telling you to do the most fucked up shit in the world. You're such big cowards and losers that you do so, and you genuinely think anything besides profound criminal prosecution is going to come for you is fucking hilarious. So to the entire business world, to the entire music world, to the entire academic world, to the entire law enforcement world, enjoy your hypocrisy while it fucking lasts. I truly have no expectation my life will ever change because there's no other pressure points. There's nobody I can be like, hey man, I'm going to appeal to the law or appeal to your values or appeal to your morals or appeal to, hey, you're another human being. Because there is none. Nobody gives a fuck. Everyone's too pathetic to make decisions, and they just want to scoot through life, have a nice, comfortable life, and then they just haphazardly commit the most vitriolic, disgusting, heinous crimes that exist. And so at some point that has to catch up. Again, as I continue to emphasize in the most direct, sane, calm way possible, I'm being held against my will in profound violation of my constitutional rights. I've been seeking asylum outside of the United States of America, directly from the jurisdictions of Elaine Bryant, Michael DeWine, and Donald Trump. To see any American genuinely, I am stuck in a household that is your most generic, again, like 3 out of 10 political ideology, definitely on the red team. But anytime I bring up the Constitution, it's just this heinous abuse that I've endured my whole life of like my mom not wanting me to get ahead of her. But at the same time, it's just like she's basically saying, haha, you don't have constitutional rights. So again, the people that directly brought me into this world, that I'm stuck in the household with, that, hey man, I just want to have a relationship with. I am the one that's more mature in that interaction. I just want to have some sort of resemblance of a relationship with my parents. They've disrespected me to levels that other people would never tolerate. But I honestly just don't give a fuck. I mean, this life is such a joke. Society is such a joke. It's like, why get mad? I mean, literally everybody has the attention span of 14-year-old children. They're selfish and they have enough agency to be selfish, but they can't remotely care about the world around them. They can't remotely love their families. They just like compete over their careers and act like anybody's doing anything different. And then we're talking about all of these privileged people who have enough money to buy sports teams and how they have big egos. Anybody in this world, any place, anytime, anywhere, overall money management. Oh, your rights get violated? Too bad. What? Let's go to church. We're gonna go. You have to go to church and pray, right? Once your rights get violated, just sit there and pray. Go to church. And again, I'm not even really from like a religious community, but just emphasizing when the law was broken against me, I just went to church, and you don't get like rules to how to play of just going to church. But if you fuck up one time in that world, it's really fun. And it's all the direct result, again, all of the time I spent at summer camp praying was a direct result of not being allowed to do research, to being, again, scapegoated, profoundly scapegoated by the St. Paul community, the DeSales community that I am stuck within right now. And so as many criminal charges as I can to the entire world, anybody that thinks they can manage money on a direct personal level, like buying things, overall functional skills to go about your day-to-day life, money management like we're sitting here looking on a screen, anything. I want to see one person out there that considers themselves a successful adult, look me in the eyes, I will fucking laugh, and again, take all of your property that's fraudulent, seize all of your property that's been appreciated fraudulently. You guys are all a part of a racket. Every company out there, again, Bread Financial was just sitting there ringing the bell. That is where my mom fucking worked. Like, what the fuck? Everybody in this world knows. I can show you a video of Sean Carroll literally saying, everybody knows, why the fuck don't my parents? But just torture another human being. That's such a bold strategy. The guy that fucking solved all of science, that proved every thought before you could even have them completely. Bold strategy. But there's no way, there's no adherence to anything, man. No values, no morals, no law, no nothing. So again, fucking disgusting. But if you are any sort of public company that has employees with license issues by academia, you are full-fledged criminals. Like, go to jail criminals for the rest of your life criminals. If your direct day-to-day function is not relevant to society progressing, you go to prison forever. I don't fuck everybody. I am the patriarch. I am the attorney general. I am the ambassador. I am the fucking adult. You guys wanted to compete over nothing. You fuck around. You find out. I want every penny of damages, treble the damages, right in concurrence with the RICO statute. But again, I continue to emphasize that. That's my only talking point for today. But really hitting home at all of those people that think they're successful in the business world. Because my mom's one of them. And again, where's my fucking money? Where's my fucking money? I go to drop my mom off when they go on vacation, and Columbus is putting a new terminal in there. I'm like, what do you think that costs? And you can tell that she thinks she's like the top dog because she's managed other people's money or made decisions on a project management team for other people's money. It's like, man, maybe when I went to church camp, I have a little more fucking imaginary tokens on a screen than people know. But at the highest level of the intelligence agency, money doesn't matter at all to begin with, period. The parties you are dealing with have infinity. Oh, I just want to live a life to some extent. Holy fucking shit, why can't somebody give me my money? To any extent at all, there are no good people in this world. Again, for historical documentation. Again, for my estate at some point to obliterate these people legally. Again, nothing. I am speaking as a world leader. Imagine the president of Germany thinking that he's wrong so profoundly that he gets online, makes a whole YouTube channel, is like, the whole USA defrauded me out of my whole fucking life. Well, luckily for you guys, I'm a United States citizen, born and bred. And again, all of the people just lie, cheat, and steal and compete. And I'm like, okay, motherfuckers, let's compete. How? You guys can't have thoughts that I can't feel and prove it to you in real time, actually. And your guys' logical development is like, 1 + 1 might equal 2. I wonder what 2 + 1 could be. Maybe we should call Elon Musk and Sam Altman. Again, I want to see their personal money management. Cooking food, changing tires, changing oil, basic shit like that. But nope, all you hardworking Americans just out there crushing it. You guys deserve it. Brad doesn't. And so, again, that's just what I'm emphasizing. The closure on D-Dog, or Data Dog, we got Data Dicked. Overall loss, 400. All recent activity. And again, we've been doing this for like 8 months. And now it's like in total profits like 1,000. There is some, like if I just pulled up my profit loss on Schwab, again, there's some Gemmy realized loss that's showing, it's carrying over. But overall, all things considered, again, from our winning trades were American Eagle and the closures of the couple little ones, like Joby ended up being a couple $100, a couple other little ones. And then the closures of the index funds gave me like $500-600 of appreciation. Then about 900 loss on SanDisk, and again, it's on the monitor tab. It just has my full account number, and trying not to show that around for too much. Not that anybody watches any of this shit, and anybody who does knows what my butthole looks like, or just meaning they know everything about me. But the So I think it's like 400. We'll just call it 420. Blaze it. So 420 loss here, 900 loss on SanDisk, $1,600 win on American Eagle, and like $600 win on just the income fund capital appreciation. So we're sitting up right around, it's like $1,100 with the Gemmy depreciation, and the actual number shows like $700. But all things recent in this log, in this trading vlog, right around up 11. And so now we're out. We don't really have any positions right now, which I hate because then I don't watch the market. And if you don't watch the market, you don't get the trades because, as you see, it's just like this random shit happening every now and again. And so anything else I want to cover? Again, just the mechanics of exiting. Again, it's just at a level where it's like if it goes a little bit more, I'm closing. A little bit more, close some more. And then once I start closing, it's just like, because by executing that, I think it's going to go up higher, and so why not close the whole thing? Again, this overarching principle, it always makes sense to buy if you think it's going to go up, regardless of where you're at. You're up a ton of money, you're down a ton of money, you're up flat, or you're flat. It always makes sense to buy if it's going to go up, or you think so. It's always going to make sense to sell if it goes down. And so you'll have different psychology of, like, again, if you're on a big winning trade, it's like that. Whether you make $700 or $600, it's that $100 isn't gonna feel like the same $100 if you open a position and immediately depreciate $100. But it's the same dollars, and so just trying to execute mechanics that give you the most reasonable management. You're not risking crazy amounts, but trying to capitalize on substantial moves. Right? If a stock is appreciating 1,000%, we don't need to hit 1,000. Maybe we can just hit a small, measly 100%. Holy shit. Or poor people could maybe hit 30%. But again, looking for extreme, extenuating circumstances and to just play the opposite way, whatever's causing that stimulus. So we made that decision on Datadog, as we said, or as I said, like this big old gap. It's still sitting right here. As you'll see if you're watching this clip and the previous clip, we've been drifting up, and it's just right at that point, that 208 really, for again, just watching the level twos, feeling the momentum throughout the day. Substantial break as we've kind of drifted up. So I just kind of called it again. But when this breaks, if this does break, right? So if this, just for the psychology, if I wake up tomorrow and this is at anywhere above this, I'll feel okay. If it's below it, I'll feel stupid. But you always feel like more of the negative emotions than the positive ones. And so the overall dollar figure just comes from your positioning, but the overall move is that's what I'm executing when I buy, sell, so on and so forth, regardless of how big the position is. And so that's where we're at. No real prospectus. We'll try to keep the log going. Still kind of, again, just this would be my biggest conviction still. Just this trading action certainly looked bullish into tomorrow. Like I was saying this morning, I have zero conviction if this should be currently at $100 billion. We'll just call it that. Or it's like 72. We'll call it $80 billion, 150, 250, 50 billion. 1 billion would surprise me. Just any extreme rapid change. Velocity. Rapid change. Nice. I have so many science points I need to get to. But so if it goes against, or if it continues higher, I'll just be like, phew, yeah, I made a good decision. If it goes lower, because this type of trading, it's like, again, one down day. I would say, if this does depreciate tomorrow, I mean, I'm directly wrong on closing it now. You feel slightly stupid at the open, but just this whole price channel, I think will get wiped out pretty much with whatever down. If a down day comes in this little range. Basically anything below 220, I see the first down day will pretty much effectively certainly bring it back to 200. Again, these are light conjectures or thoughts, just thoughts I have in my head, but then all of the actual active management is just intuition day to day. And so point being is there's a lot of these levels that we jiggle around the 208, even entering the trade because we didn't enter right after earnings. We entered on the third to fourth day, which is typically, again, I did not come into the market with a short bias. And overall, like I said, the population and business dynamics, I just think the medium short-term momentum is the easiest to identify. But it's just look at these ones. Gap up, fill, 5-year-old company, now gap up. We're just going to run. We're just going to keep on running. And then for overall stimulus, I do see, again, any sort of attempt at a resolution for Iran-United States war, whenever that may be. I see that as just an overall jolt to the upside for the market. So that's kind of outstanding. That would go against having an open short position. So there's that. Over the long term, again, anything outside of 3 years, I am appreciative or bullish. Again, specifically to the S&P, meaning the momentum of the markets. Explicitly criticizing when people say, oh, the market's going up. It just feels like this patriotic thing, not understanding market dynamics. Because then it's like, okay, the market's going up. Everyone's excited. What do I buy? Well, I don't know. You have to be selective, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, again, emphasizing the overall demeanor and presentation just feels like, we're excited, dude. We're back on track. I'm back, bro. I'm back. Have you ever said that to yourself? Maybe you were sick for a little bit, and then I'm back. You were injured. I'm back. It just feels like when everyone's saying the market's going up, America's back, baby. And then it's just, again, okay, what stocks do I buy? And so you'll feel that sentiment of appreciation even without price action. People like excited talking, maybe a little small green day, but then Scott Wapner's up there and all the people are all excited. You can feel that. And it's just like, but it's still not direction for actionable things. Like, what do I buy? Again, that's just a general, like, acknowledgement. I just think it's kind of more of this, like, patriotism than understanding market dynamics just to say, market's going up, baby. And so if it continues up, we'll kind of stay with this, but again, just looking for something. The only, like, again, the resolution or attempt at a resolution is the only outstanding stimulus I see is with conviction. Overall, we're still at, again, 3.5 years, 4 years of gains. Why could it go on to 6 years or 7 years? Absolutely. Could it turn around tomorrow? Absolutely. Do I have any conviction to make any sort of trade whatsoever? Again, as somebody who's at current time looking for a trade, positions are super small for obvious reasons, don't have constitutional rights. But, like, trying to trade, and it's like, what am I doing? I got nothing right now. And so, light prospectus, any big depreciation on a given intraday during our morning trade hours if we have, like, a big sell-off, because even on a given day you have relief. And so I would trade, like, even with, like, the intraday day trading buying power or just my overall cash balance, day trading effectively the income funds. Because I do like those. Again, I did not try to, like, rush out of those. We'll probably miss the ex-dividend date this month. But again, the overall mindset there is just any sort of movement where the underlying capital appreciation is going to outweigh the dividend, do execute that action. And so, meaning I'm not going to buy the income fund for $200 of income for a month if I think it, which I do think, I guess I'm not taking money out of the income funds gives me less exposure to any sort of down draw from tech reversing or the memory trade specifically. So those are my thoughts. Again, no position. I want a position. I want to get on a little roll. It doesn't even have to be, because like I said, if I were to make $5,000, which I was not in a position size where that would have been realistic here. But again, if you get a trade going in your way, intraday, you get some actual trading, like a real sell-off day, then you sell into the momentum back weighted by your immediate or initial position, which is, again, overall what we've been trying to do with all of our trades, long and short. Again, it's like multi-step. You have a decent sized position for a first step, goes in your direction, and then intraday on the next leg, if it goes in your direction, you scale up pretty substantially. And that would be the mechanic to execute a trade trying to make real capital appreciation, trying to make money. But so let's say again, $5,000, 24 shares. If I were to catch what a realistic, just that share size, right around 197 was my price. And so if that were to go to like $10 to, so again, like if I were to, again, that share size, a good profit would have been like right around $600 to $1,200. The same type of positioning we've had for the other ones. But is that a withdrawal out of the account? No. Right? If I lose $400, definitely don't like it. But again, to trade, you have to have a risk tolerance to some level. For these swing trades where, again, it's not a day, intraday, where it's like I'm waking up tomorrow and I'm going to be hitting the markets again. Again, it's the overall move is just kind of where my risk tolerance is at. Again, I have a whopping $1,700 of net deposit. I have no net income. Net income sustains quality of life. I literally have zero quality of life, which nobody cares. Just nobody gives a flying fuck. But that is our management trading or management considerations for today. And hopefully I see some perspectives. Something to trade. So CF again, but not again. Like, so when does this? There's no. You kind of have like more motivation, or more the more recent the momentum is, the more like quickly it can reverse. And so, meaning, I don't think we're close to any sort of articulated resolution. I think, again, any news headline, again, this is the CF trade again, will be less in bombs go off tomorrow again, hopefully not. I see that being less appreciative. I still think it will appreciate, but I don't think the moves will be as severe. Again, people get used to any stimulus, just anything. And so that is what I have for right now. Again, I've nobody cares about me. Nobody cares about my life. I've never been treated with basic human dignity at any point, simply for historical record, simply for at some point in time to my estate, which is amazing because I'm the person that owns all of science, literally, actually. Just fuck everybody. Everybody involved, everyone that's committed crimes, everyone that's suppressed science, everyone that's damaged my property, every lawsuit, every charge, every penny. That's what I have for now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.